Hey, I did not remember that trailer is one of the coolest and most misleading trailers ever. Hi everyone, I'm Quinma, and this show is called Plus Review. The last game in this 3-game review experiment is Beyblade V4 Super Tournament Battle. As I mentioned before, the first game was one I'd never played before, the second was one I had originally planned to be a Let's Play, and this last one is one I haven't played since I was a kid. Now, when I was a kid, there were 3 games I played on my GameCube almost religiously. The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Pokemon Channel, and Beyblade V4 Super Tournament Battle. Yeah, we had Coliseum and XD, but one of my go-tos was Channel. I was a weird kid. But that's not what this video is about. So, let's see if my love for Beyblade V4 Super Tournament Battle persists to the present, or if Kid Quinma just had the worst judge of game quality. Now that you know my history with the game, let's talk about the history of the game itself via my very minimal research. Beyblade V4 Super Tournament Battle was first released in Japan for the GameCube on December 19th, 2002 as Bakuten Shoot Beyblade 2002 Netto Magna Tag Battle. This is an even bigger mouthful than the English name, which is already a mouthful, and was released in North America on September 23rd, 2003. As the title implies, this game is based on the V4 season of the original Beyblade show. According to a wikia called The Cutting Room Floor, the debug menu mentions functionality with the Game Boy Advance, implying connectivity was once considered but didn't make it into the final game. And unfortunately, due to this being an old licensed game, I was unable to find anything else regarding the development history of this game. So that's going to have to do for this section. Now on to the story, which is also a very short section. The protagonist, either this blue boy or this pink girl, is a new blader on the scene and is given the choice to have Dragoon, Dracil, Drigger, or Dronzer as their first bit beast, matching one of the 4 main characters of the original show. The protagonist then enters into a tournament, fighting against bladers from the original anime, such as Tyson, Kenny, Max, and others. The protagonist wins the tournament, and that's it. A super short, non-existent story that can be beat in less than an hour. But here's your spoiler alert. Even though it's not much of a spoiler, you can skip to the time on screen to avoid it. Through a random number generator, there is a chance that during the finals, one of 3 characters can challenge the player. Daichi Sumeragi, the protagonist of his own spin-off series, or King, the main antagonist, could jump in from the stands to challenge the protagonist. Or the DJ himself could end up challenging the protagonist. In all 3 cases, these characters challenge the protagonist because of how impressed they were with the young blader. Defeating the challenger will unlock them in free play and multiplayer mode, so if you want to unlock all the characters, you need to redo the story at least 3 times. Though, due to the challenger being random, and it's even a random chance for them not to show up, it's more likely you'll have to go through the tournament mode a few times. The game is very light on story, and I believe that's because one-player mode was not the initial intent for the game. I see Beyblade V4 Super Tournament Battle as a local co-op party game, and perhaps that's why I always had so much fun with it. Now, there's no tutorial in this game, but it also doesn't really need one. The gameplay is pretty simple. During battle, the player presses either A or B at the right time to launch their Beyblade into the arena. Then the player uses the control stick to move their Beyblade around and damage the opponent. There is also a special meter which can be unleashed to deal more damage or save oneself from defeat. Naturally, these specials come in the form of the Bit Beast attacks. There are 3 levels of power to these specials, which will depend on how long the player decides to let it charge. These attacks all have different animations, but all function the same. It'll deal damage to the opponent and knock them back a bit. It will also give the Beyblade that's attacking some momentum back and may save the Beyblade from getting knocked out of the ring, though there is a low chance that the attack will miss. The player needs 4 points to win a match and can get a maximum of 7 points. If a Beyblade loses momentum and stops spinning, or if the blader missed their shot, then that earns the victor 1 point. Pushing the opponent out of the arena earns 2 points, and destroying the opponent's Beyblade earns 4 points. Now, I know the best strategy is to push the opponent to the edge of the stage and then unleash your special to guarantee they'll be pushed out. I just love winning via crash out. I know destroying the opponent's Beyblade goes completely against the spirit of the Beyblade show, and it's a very dangerous strategy since it gives the opponent more opportunities to take you out, but it's just so satisfying to destroy the opponent. Does that say something about me? Anyhow, the player is also able to customize their Beyblade, being able to have 3 Beyblades at once. To customize a Beyblade, the player will need to go to the shop and combine a Bit Beast, an attack ring, a defense ring, a base, and a launcher. You can get these parts from either shopping at the store or winning them in the tournament. The tournament is also where the player can level up their character. While I'm not entirely sure what the stat increase is for the player, if there is any, I do know leveling up unlocks new parts in the store. Also, the higher level opponents offer more of a challenge. Now, customizing the Beyblade is very important, not just for stat increases, but also for strategy purposes. See, there are 3 arenas in the game that the player can fight on, and different parts give different advantages on these arenas. I found the most notable difference when using a magnet part on the magnet arena. Using a magnet part will allow the player to choose if they want their Beyblade to be attracted to or repelled by the magnets on the arena. Since the placement of the magnets can either be random or determined, knowing when it's best to be attracted and when it's best to stay away from the magnets could spell the difference between victory and defeat. Or you can just not bring in a magnet part and gamble on whether your Beyblade will be attracted or repelled. That's an option too! The presentation is tough to judge for me since there are parts of it I love and parts that I dislike. There are 3 major parts of the visual presentation of the game: the characters in combat, the characters in the lobby, and the Beyblades. Since the series is called Beyblade, I'll start with those. There are 2 real places to see the Beyblades: combat and museum. In combat, the Beyblades look kind of like a fusion between realistic and stylized. What's really fun is if you use a custom Beyblade, then the individual parts will look like the parts that you used to put the Beyblade together. Then, as you play or replay the tournament mode, you unlock Beyblades in the museum to look at. These Beyblades are shown as real Beyblades, likely the already put together Beyblades already in the box when you buy it from an actual toy store. The characters are pulled straight from the anime and the sprites match that. The original protagonist's art style also makes them feel like they could have appeared in the anime. These sprites are also seen alongside pictures of the Bit Beast during the special attacks. At the weakest level, it's only a picture of the character. At the second level, it's only a picture of the Bit Beast. And at the strongest level, both the character and the Bit Beast are shown. I also enjoy how the characters in the overworld lobby are shown in the chibi art style. Though in the lobby, I do wish when speaking to a character, the game would display the characters' names. The reason mostly being this girl. This is Hillary Tachibana from the anime. However, when she showed up in the lobby, not only did I not know her name, I completely forgot she even existed. When I saw her, I knew immediately that she must have been the heroine of the original show, and I felt really guilty for not remembering that she even existed. Something else I forgot about was the audio presentation. The music was great, I have no complaints about that. But I do unfortunately have complaints about the voice cast who reprise their roles from the original anime. Now, I hate having to criticize voices because it feels like I'm singling someone out. Criticizing a game by a faceless company feels fine, since if I'm complaining about something, then it could be anybody's fault and fingers can't really be pointed to any one individual, as far as I know. However, unless it's a customizable avatar, each character can only have one voice, so criticizing voice actors just makes me feel awkward and even a little guilty. With that being said, this is a game from 2003, and I'm sure everyone on the voice cast has forgotten that this game even exists, let alone that they worked on it. So I'm going to single people out, specifically Goki. Seriously, Mr. Craig Lawson, why did you give Goki the super high-pitched annoying voice?
Oh no! Did I lose?
I cannot take this villain seriously. Now, while I believe Goki has the absolute worst voice in the entire game, I'm so sorry, Mr. Lawson, I don't mean to single you out like this, but I'm sure you're doing great work outside of Beyblade. The rest of the cast is a mixed bag. I do think some of the actors played their roles well, and others just felt annoying. In fact, it's almost a straight line down the middle for who I believed acted well and who I believed did not. Replaying this game actually made me start to think that the reason why I liked the characters that I did as a kid when watching the show was maybe that they had good actors playing the roles. I'm sure this must be a short video since the simplicity of the game makes it difficult to say a lot on. Nevertheless, when it comes to my final thoughts, I completely understand if someone is underwhelmed by this game, especially if they're only playing the game in single player. That being said, for me, I enjoy the simplicity of the game. It's an easy game to pick up and play whenever with friends. Even though I have some issues with the audio presentation, I still like the overall presentation, and the poor voiceover in places doesn't bring down the whole game for me. Sure, it can be a little off-putting, but it's not like I have to listen to a whole hours-long campaign with these characters. I'm sure even if I did, I would still enjoy listening to it, bad voices and all. I still love this game. It certainly is not for everyone, and I may be biased in my opinion, but I can't bring myself to dislike this game. I know this game has a ton of negative reviews online, but for me, playing this game with others is where it's at, and it's an experience and memory that can't be replaced.